Well, here's a weird non-BMW, but electric nonetheless. This is a 2019 Kia Niro EV. You can see underneath, it is a lot like the Model S. So from corner to corner, side to side, front to back, pretty much all battery. But of course, being a car in this family, it needs a trailer hitch. So this is a receiver hitch. I think it's a class 2. And we're gonna throw it on the Niro. This isn't like explicitly designed for the EV model, but it should fit. The superstructures are almost always the same. So to start on this vehicle, we're gonna go through and actually pull off the entire rear aero tray. We're going to wanna reuse as much of this as possible just for efficiency's sake. But these, of course, are these little baby 2-piece push clips. So get either a really fine standard screwdriver in the side, or my personal favorite is a combination of that and a wire cutter or a dike. And you should be able to pull all of the primary portions out, and then you'll be able to get behind and yank the rest of it. So looks like we have quite a bit of that. And then we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 mils on the inside. So let me just grab my impact and a set of cutters and we'll rip that out, and then we'll do some figuring. If you want to order one of these, there's your part number. So I'll quick show you the process on these. Standard in the side, and if your vehicle's as new as this one, that's actually all you got to do. Also, there are 2 14mm plastic nuts. You got to take those off too. So there's the entire aero tray from the top side, and here's the underside of the car. The hitch actually will be mounting right up here on the side of the frame rail on either side. There's actually a nut cert already welded into the frame rail on both sides. So what I'm going to do right now is set the hitch up here, thread it in by hand, and then start holding up that under tray. And then I'll mark out where on the under tray I've got to notch it to fit the actual vertical metal piece. So essentially this guy and potentially this entire bar, I'm hoping that that doesn't sit so far up that I have to cut a very substantial portion of that plastic off, but only one way to find out. So again, just hand thread it in. However, right off the hop, it does fit the electric. Looks like I'm gonna have to do quite a lot of trimming. So I'm gonna hold it up with a paint pen and just get kind of a rough cut. But I think there's enough flexion here where I can leave almost all of that tray intact, and then just bend this down just a little bit to get that aero advantage. So I'm optimistic, but this is gonna be just a lot of tracing and cutting and massaging. So the initial cuts I'm gonna make are right about there on both sides for the verticals, and then the center section right there. So I'll cut those out, we'll test fit it up, see how it fits, and then probably cut a bit more. So the center after the initial cut, a little bit more is needed. Once we get the final, I'll hold a tape measure up to it so you can kind of get a better idea of where we are. This one needs to shift over a little bit and another inch. And this one pretty much where it is, just about another inch. So these are absolutely perfect. And, ow, I'm gonna try to show you approximately where we are. Just give me a moment here. So the cut is 4.5 inches in from the back, and from the center line, go 1 3/4 inches on both sides. And then over here, cut all the way down to roughly 3/4 of an inch from the vent opening. Wait a second. 4.5 inches in from the side, and then a total of 7 inches in from the side. And here, I guess I'm holding the tape backward. So 4 3/4 inches, and then 7.5 inches. And this would be the right-hand side of the car over here. So hopefully that gives you an idea of where to start. Cut a little bit less right off the bat and then work your way in. I used an angle grinder with a metal cutting bit, but you could use a Sawzall, you could use a tin snips. This is lightly fiberglass reinforced, so I would recommend you wear a respirator while you're cutting this, just in case you get some glass fiber residue, but this fits perfectly. So next step, you go back under the car, tighten down the 4 larger bolts into the frame rail, And once that's in, I'll simply put the plastic piece back in place, fasten the two 14 mils here. I think I said there are 6 10 mils on the back, and then these little plastic push clips, you set them in the holes, and then you simply push the plunger back in, and then you're done. All right, so it's all bolted in. I did put some Loctite on the fasteners. I would recommend not going above about 55 foot-pounds on these, maybe even a little less. The threaded inserts in the frame rail are not super strong, as I've learned. So I'm gonna put the rubber plug back in the frame rail here, and then we'll get the under tray back on. But yeah, overall, not too bad. There we have it. About as clean as you could do in a garage. Still get a little bit of bite on this fastener, but it doesn't much matter. Nice and clean in the front. You do lose one of these clips, but big deal. And yeah, overall pretty good. So I'm happy enough with it. Looks like it fits pretty well and should have no issue with a couple thousand pounds. All right.